Hare Krishna. Welcome to the lockdown program with Krishna under the umbrella of Govardhan Hill. Today we are reading and discussing the most beautiful Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Pandava Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Nice to see you again. I hope you are well and I hope everything has been sorted.
Yes, thank you, Hare Krishna.
So, let's start. Let's do a bit of Kirtan. Some beautiful tune here. And then we'll wait until others are joining in. Are you be all right with some Kirtan?
Yes.
Okay, I can hear you well.
I will try again the same one as the last time.
Oh, it was beautiful, really.
Because I was practicing a little
I think
bit.
I remember it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. It's a minor key, something like that.
Yes. So how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Great. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Pandava Prabhu, thank you, Hare Krishna. The first part of the tune is easy to remember. The other parts are a bit more difficult. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
I have to.
Hare Krishna, look, Amit is here. Welcome, Amit. Welcome, Pandava. Welcome, Ben. We got apologies from Nalini. She is not feeling well. And Samir will be a bit late, 10 minutes. Well, it's already 10 minutes. We don't know anything about Vashana Mataji or anybody else. Prakash, he had some problems of logging in. Okay, a bit more Kirtan? Yes? Go ahead.
Sorry, I forgot to turn off.
No, oh no, I was thinking we're getting here a treat of bit more Kirtan, and now you're cheating us. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Sorry, I need to still practice.
Hare Krishna. I love this tune. I think that is one of my favorite tunes which you do. It is absolutely beautiful. All parts of it. Now you did some 2-3 different parts. Beautiful. Very nice.
Beautiful. Thanks. New wave of devotional bhajans.
Hare Krishna. Do you know where did you hear that tune?
I heard it maybe 2 months ago. Where is that?
Who was singing it?
Just a second. It's Akinchana Krishna Prabhu.
Okay.
Hard for me to say. I think it's kind of new generation of Kirtanieros.
Kirtanias, yes, Hare Krishna. That is very nice. Okay, let's move on. Welcome Pandava Prabhu, welcome Ben, welcome Amit, welcome Prakash, and welcome Dharm. Prakash, you had some problems, but I'm happy to you have solved it and you are with us tonight. Hare Krishna. So again, we have some apologies from Nalini. She is not well and Samir will be later. Okay, next, Prabhupada Nectar. Here's a little bit of 3 snippets of Nectar before we go to our Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So the following is an excerpt from Srila Prabhupada's letter in May 28, 1968. Hare Krishna, Samir, welcome. We just spoke of you. You will be a bit late, and here you are. Okay, Hare Krishna. So, Prabhupada Nectar. Krishna and his that's actually a very famous quote, and you might really want to remember that. Krishna and his representative is the same. Just as Krishna can be present simultaneously in millions of places, similarly, the spiritual master can be present wherever the disciple wants. Well, isn't that beautiful? Wherever the disciple wants, Krishna, spiritual master, is present. Just like, and reminds me of the Panihati festival, Sweet Rice Festival, which was not so long ago, or is still coming up, I'm not quite sure. And there, Lord Nityananda was there with all the devotees, and everybody had 2 pots of sweet rice, one with condensed milk and chipped rice, and one with yogurt. And there were so many people sitting near near the platform where Lord Nityananda was sitting, and those who didn't find any space were sitting down at the Ganges eating the sweet rice, and that was even so full that some had to stand in the water waist deep and eating the 2 pots of sweet rice, which has been, of course, all provided by Raghunath Das, who ran away from home. Okay, so at that meeting, Lord Nityananda, he asked Lord Chaitanya to be present there. And then suddenly Lord Chaitanya appeared. Some could see him, others could not. So that is an important point. The spiritual master can be present wherever the disciple wants. A spiritual master is a principle, not the body. Just like a television can be seen in thousands of places by the principle of relay monitoring. That is not impersonal. It is just one is mistaken to think the spiritual master is the body only, and he's here, and when bodily presence is not here, the spiritual master is gone. No, this is not the case. Okay, that was from a letter, and now another letter in 72. Of course, ultimately, we must depend only on Krishna. If he gives us something, we shall accept and offer it in his service. If we have nothing, what is a harm? We shall sit under a tree and chant Hare Krishna. Very nice. And the last and third quote, which is from Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, from the introduction, which is an absolutely wonderful book. If you ever get your hand on Teachings of Lord Chaitanya, I can only highly recommend that. Srila Prabhupada wrote this book because he was not sure if Krishna allows him enough time to write the entire Chaitanya Charitamrita. Well, eventually he did translate and commented on the entire Chaitanya Charitamrita. But that Teachings of Lord Chaitanya was kind of an emergency publication, which has so nicely all the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, everything condensed in just one, not even big book. Everything is there. And if you ever read that, you will thoroughly enjoy it. So, quote, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu should not be considered to be one of us. He is Krishna himself, the supreme living entity, and as such, he never comes under the cloud of Maya. Krishna, his expansions, and even his higher devotees never fall into the clutches of illusion. Lord Chaitanya came to earth simply to preach Krishna Bhakti, love of Krishna. In other words, he is Lord Krishna himself, teaching the living entities the proper way to approach Krishna. And we mentioned quite a few times before, Krishna is not teaching like that. Krishna finishes his teaching with Sarvadhamam Parityajya, just surrender unto me. But how to surrender? Then Krishna came again 500 years ago, and he explicitly explained in detail how to fulfill that order of Lord Krishna 5,000 years ago, Sarvadhamam Parityajya, how to surrender. That is Lord Chaitanya's teaching. So, he is like a teacher, Lord Chaitanya, who, seeing a student doing poorly, takes up a pencil and writes, saying, do it like this, A, B, C. By this one must not foolishly think that the teacher is learning his ABCs. Also, he appears in the guise of a devotee. We should always remember that Lord Chaitanya is Krishna, God, himself, teaching us how to become Krishna conscious, and we must study him in that light. So I thought these were some very nice quotes. Let's go to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And we have, today we're starting with text 29 of the 8th chapter of the first canto. And I'll just put it in the chat. Here it is, and I would like to ask, maybe start off with Pandava Prabhu. We missed you so much. So, text 29. Would you like to take on that shloka and read us a wonderful Sanskrit? The microphone is all yours.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Naveda Kaschit Bhagavan Chikishitam Tavehamanasya Nrinam Vidambanam Nayasya Kaschit Daitosti Karhichit Dveshyascha Yasmin Vishama Matyanrinam. O Lord, no one can understand your transcendental pastimes, which appear to be human and so are misleading. You have no specific object of favor, nor do you have any object of envy. People only imagine that you are partial. Purport. The Lord's mercy upon the fallen souls is equally distributed. He has no one as the specific object of hostility. The very conception of the personality of Godhead as a human being is misleading. His pastimes appear to be exactly like a human being's, but actually they are transcendental and without any tinge of material contamination. He is undoubtedly known as partial to his pure devotees, but in fact he is never partial, as much as the sun is never partial to anyone. By utilizing the sun rays, sometimes even the stones become valuable, whereas a blind man cannot see the sun, although there are enough sun rays before him. Darkness and light are two opposite conceptions, but this does not mean that the sun is partial in distributing its rays. The sun rays are open to everyone, but the capacities of the receptacles differ. Foolish people think that devotional service is flattering the Lord to get special mercy. Actually, the pure devotees who are engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord are not a mercantile community. A mercantile house renders service to someone in exchange for values. The pure devotee does not render service unto the Lord for such exchange, and therefore the full mercy of the Lord is open for him. Suffering men, needy men, inquisitive persons, or philosophers make temporary connections with the Lord to serve a particular purpose. When the purpose is served, there is no more relation with the Lord. A suffering man, if he is pious at all, prays to the Lord for his recovery. But as soon as the recovery is over, in the most cases, the suffering man no longer cares to keep the connection with the Lord. The mercy of the Lord is open for him, but he is reluctant to receive it. That is the difference between a pure devotee and a mixed devotee. Those who are completely against the service of the Lord are considered to be in abject darkness. Those who ask for the Lord's favor only at the time of necessity are partial recipients of the mercy of the Lord. And those who are 100% engaged in the service of the Lord are full recipients of the mercy of the Lord. Such partiality in receiving the Lord's mercy is relative to recipient, and it is not due to partiality of the all-merciful Lord. When the Lord descends to this material world by his all-merciful energy, he plays like a human being, and therefore it appears that the Lord is partial to his devotees. Only, but that is not a fact. Despite such apparent manifestation of partiality, his mercy is equally distributed. In the battlefield of Kurukshetra, all persons who died in the fight before the presence of the Lord got salvation without the necessary qualifications, because death before the presence of the Lord purifies the passing soul from the effects of all sins, and therefore the dying man gets a place somewhere in the transcendental abode. Somehow or other, if someone puts himself open in the sun rays, he is sure to get the requisite benefit both by heat and by ultraviolet rays. Therefore, the conclusion is the Lord is never partial. It is wrong for the people in general to think of him as partial.
Thank you very much, Pandava Prabhu. There are a few really, really beautiful, wonderful points. Can you say something about this shloka?
So this verse, as we just heard, says that Supreme Lord is not partial to anyone, although it seems like he is. To fully understand this statement, understanding of and meaning of Bhagavad Gita is required as the point of reference, and more knowledge from Krishna's pastimes. So that's Srila Prabhupada brings here that famous verse and a few other verses that follows, explaining how people with different needs come to the Lord. Surprisingly, Krishna in Bhagavad Gita first states that, I'm sorry for the noise, but somehow there's so many people screaming out there. Krishna first explains 4 types of people who never surrender to him, and then he gives example who comes to the Lord. So Prabhupada uses this in a parable. These are people in distress, or people wanting money, inquisitive, or wanting knowledge. And then after that, Krishna says that out of all of these devotees are great, but the one who is inquisitive is far better than the others, because he is very dear to Krishna and Krishna is very dear to him. So which means that the devotee who is going beyond the level of personal needs that is sometimes in someone's mind is the real devotee, because such devotee can survive the bad, let's say, bad days in life and good days. He just becomes steady and even progressing more and more comparing to other devotees. So the example of the sun that is always shining to everyone is really great here, because sun is always shining. It depends only on the qualification of the person who can or who cannot really use the benefit of the light. So all these people who cannot really accept the mercy of the Lord are compared to the blind men, and that's the real problem. That if they even hear about the beauty of devotional service, they think that bhakti is for poor men who just praise the Lord in order to get some mercy or money. They are still in the darkness, not understanding that the pure position of the soul is to render service, no matter of the time.
Okay.
Yes, okay.
Thank you very much. Beautiful. Do you or anybody else know, you spoke of the 4 pious men, and actually you spoke of first the Duskritina Muta Prapatyante Naratama. First, the demoniac people are mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, and then the pious. That always wondered me. Why didn't Krishna start off with 4 types of pious men and who will surrender, and then 4 types of men who don't surrender? But there must be a reason why Krishna first speaks about the impious men. But my point is, what verse is it? You know, Pandava or anybody else, which verse is it? The 4 types of men.
7:16.
Yes. Can you say the Sanskrit translation?
7:16 is Chaturvidha Bhajantemam Jana Sukritino Arjuna Arto Jigyasu Artharti Gyani Cha Bharata Sabha. And the translation is a best of the Bharatas, Arjuna. 4 kinds of pious men render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desirer of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the Absolute.
Beautiful. Thank you. Yes, great. This is a very important verse. And to just get it in context, can you read the previous verse as well?
Yes, the previous one.
These 2 verses are very important. So the previous verse, 4 types of men who don't surrender.
The one who don't surrender, sound the 15th. Namam dushkritino mudha prapadyanten naradhama mayaya pahrita jnana asuram bhavam ashrita. Krishna. Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons, do not surrender unto me.
Okay, yes, nice. So these 2 verses are very important, and they're quoted again and again, particular that last verse you just, the Duskritinas. Srila Prabhupada in lectures, he just comes back to that verse again and again, because most people, let's face it, are Duskritinas of some sort or other. Okay, what else? I particularly found how Srila Prabhupada puts this. Foolish people think that devotional service is flattering the Lord to get special mercy. That is, some people might think like that. Or even we might think like that at certain times. Let me flatter Krishna to get some special mercy. But that is not pure devotion. We don't flatter Krishna. We just serve Krishna. And okay, what else? Anyone has? Welcome Varshana, welcome Rashmi. We have a big congregation here. Welcome Samir, welcome Dharm, Prakash, Amit, Ben, and Pandava Prabhu. Anyone has any question or comment to this verse, or shall we move on to text 30? Okay, let's move on to text 30. Varshanamataji, let me put it again in the chat. That was 29. You just need to go ahead and to arrive at text 30. Samir, you have a question.
Prabhuji, even I have a question, Prabhuji.
Okay. Hands up for questions always, but Samir was first. Samir, you had your hand up?
Sorry, Prabhu, I pressed it by mistake. Sorry.
Okay. You sounded okay, so we'll hope that is okay. Okay, Rashmi, what's your question?
So, in the purport, which Prabhu was reading, it was mentioned about the battle of Kurukshetra. So, the soldiers and the Kauravas who were killed on the battlefield, they had seen Krishna. So, does that mean they get the same, they get liberated and they go to Golok Vrindavan, or do they go into they only reach up to the Brahma Jyoti? What happened to them?
Okay. Interesting question. Who wants to answer that? Are they going to Golok because they have been leaving their bodies in the presence of Krishna? And that means Jayadratha and all, even Dushashan. Samir, do you want to say something? So hands up, yeah? Okay, Samir.
Yes, I think they go to the Brahma Jyoti. They don't go to Krishna Lok.
Okay. Anyone else has any different understanding?
If I may.
Please.
Without the hands up.
Without the hand, okay. You may.
I'm using my cell phone. It's like so many buttons to.
Yes, true.
Sorry. Yes, Samia, Prabhu, that's the, let's say, general understanding, but it's hard for me to, of course, now to quote exactly where, but I think somewhere I'm almost certain Prabhupada mentioned that many of these warriors, they were captivated by the beauty of Krishna's form. And of course, they were in rasa of the fighting, like Bhishmadev, like we discussed before. So when they attacked even Bhishma, when he was using his arrows, Krishna did not. He accepted them as a flower offering. So it's a particular rasa of the warriors. So many of them they have not finished just with the Brahma Jyoti because they seen that beautiful form, and everyone who appreciates the form of the Lord is moved to the planets. So probably Vaikuntha or even maybe there's another special planet for the warriors.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Pandava Prabhu. Interesting, Srila Prabhupada doesn't specify in this verse. He says, because death before the presence of the Lord purifies the passing soul from the effects of all sins. And therefore, the dying man gets a place somewhere in the transcendental abode. So Srila Prabhupada doesn't say where, somewhere in the transcendental abode. But would it be fair if Dushashan, just because he was here on the battlefield in the presence of the Lord, if he goes to Goloka, where Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj and the Gopis and the Gopas are? No, obviously not. So not Goloka, for sure and certain. But somewhere in the transcendental abodes, that could be Vaikuntha, that could be Brahmajyoti, that might be different for different personalities as well. So here we go. Is that answering your question, Rashmi?
Yes, Prabhuji, that's what I understood as well, that they go to Vaikuntha, but not necessarily Golok. I was just confirming, because Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, Ravan and his brother, all of them, they went to Vaikuntha. They did not go to Brahmajyoti. So I was guessing that it will be the same for these people, but I just wanted to confirm my doubt.
Yes, a bit of common sense is it would not be. And there is somewhere a conversation. I don't remember a conversation where it was queried. Was it Masa Yashoda? No, it wasn't Masa Yashoda. It was queried, will these personalities receive the same benefit as those who are serving Krishna with love in Goloka, like Nanda and Yashoda? That seems to be not right. I forgot in that conversation who put that forward. Okay. Anything, Pandava?
I'm not exactly sure if that's what you have in mind, but it brings to my mind another very surprising detail from Mahabharata. It is said that when Maharaj Yudhishthir has gotten to heaven, and was introduced by Narada, I think, and so all the heroes, great kshatriyas of battlefield there in heaven or Indraloka, he felt kind of upset and said, "No, I cannot stay here if these guys are here." So then Narada said, "So you cannot stay here either, because you have to be impartial," or maybe that's not the best term, but you have to be. You have to have some kind of equal vision, because they died on the battlefield. No matter what the deeds were, they still get the benefit of going to the heavenly planets. So, sorry.
Yes, I heard that also. Yes, very nice. Thank you very much. Anyone else? Anything to say, Shloka? Or shall we move on to text 30? Let's move on. Text 30. I would like to ask Samir, let's test your internet, and I hope we have a nice connection. That is text 30.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Dhamma pranams. Can you hear me very well?
It seems all right.
Okay. Janma karma cha visvatmam ajasya kartur atmana triyan nir sisu.
Not near. Nri.
Niri sisu yadasu tat atyanta vidambanam. Translation and the purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Of course, it is bewildering, O soul of the universe, that you work through Of course it is bewildering, O soul of the universe, that you work though you are inactive, and that you take birth though you are the vital force and the unborn. You yourself descend amongst animals, men, sages, and aquatics. Verily, this is bewildering. The transcendental pastimes of the Lord are not only bewildering, but also apparently contradictory. In other words, they are all inconceivable to the limited thinking power of the human being. The Lord is all-prevailing, supersoul of all existence, and yet he appears in the form of a bull amongst the animals, in the form of a human being as Rama, Krishna, etc., in the form of Rishi, like Narayan, and in the form of an aquatic, like a fish. Yet it is said that he is unborn, and he has nothing to do. In the Shruti mantra, it is said that the Supreme Brahman has nothing to do. No one is equal to or greater than him. He has manifold energies, and everything is performed by him perfectly, by automatic knowledge, strength, and activity. All these statements prove without question that the Lord's activities, forms, and deeds are all inconceivable to our limited thinking power. And because he is inconceivable, powerful, everything is possible in him. Therefore, no one can calculate him exactly. Every action of the Lord is bewildering to the common man. He cannot be understood by the Vedic knowledge, but he can be easily understood by the pure devotees, because they are intimately related with him. The devotees, therefore, know that although he appears amongst the animals, he is not an animal, nor a man, nor a rishi, nor a fish. He is eternally the Supreme Lord in all circumstances.
Thank you very much, Samir. Hare Krishna. A question for you. Srila Prabhupada says, in the form of a boar amongst the animals, in the form of a human being as Rama, Krishna, etc., in the form of a rishi like Narayan. What is he referring to, a rishi like Narayan?
What is he referring to?
Yes, because if we think of Lord Narayan, Lakshmi Narayan, we don't think of Lord Narayan as a rishi. So what is meant with this Narayan here?
What is meant by? I don't understand the question.
Who is that Narayan exactly? Rishi, like Narayan.
That is the Lord. That's an incarnation of the Lord, right?
Yes, but it's not referring, as far as I can tell, it is not referring to Lord Narayan, Lakshmi, the husband of Lakshmi, Pandava.
Hare Krishna. Maybe because Samya Prabhu hasn't reached the 12th country yet.
Right.
That's the reason why he cannot. So it refers to wondering why Srila Prabhupada hasn't included Narayan, just the Narayan. So in 12th canto there is that pastimes of Lord Narayan Rishi.
Yes, that's what it's referring to. Narayan Rishis, the two supermost beings. There's a whole pastime who were not disturbed. Cupid tried to disturb. Narayan Rishi is Krishna and Arjuna. And Cupid tried to disturb by creating so many wonderful, beautiful damsels. And then the Lord manifested even more beautiful damsels. And Cupid was embarrassed. So, this is not Narayan, the husband of the goddess of fortune. It is Narayan Rishi.
Prabhuji, is it the one where, is it the deity of Badrinath, Narayan Rishi?
It could be, I'm not entirely sure. They're dressed in deer skin. When you see pictures, there's some pictures around. Could very well be in Badrinath. Probably yes, I would say. Okay. Samir, you want to say anything about this verse? Is there anything more to be said?
Not really, no. I think, again, it's self-explanatory, isn't it? It's just saying, just to summarize very quickly, that it's saying that to our unlimited knowledge, and it can seem bewildering that the Lord is appearing in all these different incarnations or different forms, like animals or men or aquatics, but yet he is unborn. So it can be bewildering, but it's saying for the pure devotees, they understand fully because they're intimately related with him. So the devotees know that he appears amongst the animals, as it says, or the fish or whatever, but he's eternally the Supreme Lord in all the circumstances.
Hare Krishna, yes. So, for the pure devotees, it is not bewildering at all, because they're seeing with the eyes of love. Pandava Prabhu, is your hand up, or you forgot to take it down?
No, it's up. If you don't mind, I would
Please.
like to share with you a few words.
Yes.
It is really bewildering, and because I'm involved in some religious discussions, sometimes with very opposing party, who is just claiming that God doesn't exist at all, which can drive me nuts sometimes. So I'm praying sometimes, what can I use? Or sometimes you have to really use the strong language, not in an offensive way, but some kind of strong statements to shake and their even their thinking. But lately, with so many people who know apparently about incarnations or avatars of Vishnu, and somebody raised the point of Lord Buddha, and if Lord Buddha was or his teaching don't contain any knowledge about Supreme Lord, how he can be even an avatar? So that's how it's contradictory to many minds. And of course, there were like few hundred comments, or many people were just like, no, he is not an avatar. Some, yes, he is, but, or he's just a human, and so many things. So it is bewildering, really. So the benefit of accepting Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and those two chapters, one from first and another from second canto, about scheduled incarnations and their missions are very important for the devotees, because we can see in the light of the Shastras those incarnations as not separate personalities or deities, but they are the same Lord, who just appears in different yugas or different occasions for specific devotees. And those who don't see the Lord as the one who is playing those roles, they got kind of, okay, this is the Lord, but the other incarnation is not, or something like that. So they disconnected. And also in this verse, what is a really interesting point is that also all the universe that you work, though you are inactive, is bewildering. So that's another confusing point. Many who know something about Upanishads or Vedas, sometimes they argue, that's another confusing point, that the Lord or the absolute form is that inactive or Brahman state. So they most of the time they don't come to the conclusion that the Lord is coming in the form of incarnation just to help people, but or show different pastimes to get them closer to Him. But they think that this is kind of like He's appearing and then He becomes a Brahman, then all-pervasive and inactive form of absolute. That's what many, this kind of impersonalistic ideas that Prabhupada also argues in many places, that some of the impersonalists, they think that ultimately the Lord is impersonal and He comes only to show and do something, and then He loses His form, He becomes again impersonal. So that's another misunderstanding by many.
Okay,
so
thank you.
We are really blessed by Srila Prabhupada's books and commentaries that we can really understand the position of the Lord from so many angles.
Yes, absolutely. It is very difficult for devotees to twist their mind into the impersonal direction. But there are people, and I'm talking also with people who have a strong attachment to the impersonal understanding. Even Vedanta Sutra is very high in their estimate, or some impersonal leaning. It is very, very difficult to get someone away from that. Somewhere it was mentioned that is a common root, that people have an impersonal understanding and then they eventually come to the personal understanding. And that in my case, that has been true. So I feel a little bit how is these people actually feeling. I was attached to the impersonal understanding before I received Bhagavad Gita, and it was a kind of an attachment, not really understanding. It was mental gymnastics most of the time, but one can get attached to this kind of conception because that conception is higher than the really total materialistic conception of just work hard and enjoy the fruits of your work. So once we come to that impersonal Brahman and all that is a higher level and one can get attached. But in my case, as soon as I had Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita in front of me, all impersonal conception fell away without any pain, without any but, if, or anything, or arguments, nothing. It's just like stepping from one step of the ladder to the next rung of the ladder without any difficulties. So, yes, absolutely, Pandava Prabhu, it is a wonderful and great blessing that we have Srila Prabhupada's Bhaktivedanta purpose, because immediately the right understanding is injected. And Srila Prabhupada deals with his impersonal understanding in a very logical and wonderful way. But unless we really have some faith in the pure devotee and we're starting the process of sadhu sangha and bhajana kriya, we will be attached to an impersonalist understanding. Okay, in connection to what you just said, Pandava Prabhu, you're arguing with people. Here, Srila Prabhupada, a guest is saying, Prabhupada, is Krishna right here in the room? Prabhupada, yes. Don't you see Krishna there? Laughing. Laughter. Guest, when I'm looking at the picture, is Krishna right here? Prabhupada, when you look or not look, he is there. If you have got some eye disease, you cannot see, but he is there. So that is also an interesting point. We cannot see an eye disease due to the cataract. Pandava. Oh, that is clapping. Okay. Hare Krishna. I found that on my Facebook timeline. So, same point. Okay. What else? Anything else can be said to that shloka, or shall we move on to 31? And I would like to ask Vaishana Mataji, Sunday 8 of, who is doing that? Who is sharing that? Pandava's screen. Ratha Yatra, 8 of August. Yes, I have seen that before. Midday, Hyde Park Corner. Keep it in mind and let's see. Okay, thank you, Pandava, for sharing that. So can I ask Vaishana Kishori Mataji to take on text 31? Are you okay with that, Vaishana? 8th chapter, text 31.
Can I just listen today, please? I'm not too good.
Yes, no problem. Yeah. What about Ben?
Thank you.
We are happy, Vaishana Mataji, you are here at all. 31.
Oh, this is a juicy one.
You get into on the deep end here. Take it slowly. And do mind, there is a Y followed by a A.
Gopi adadi vai kritagasi dhamma tavat yati tasoru kalilanjana sam brahmaksham vaktram niniya bhaya bhavanaya stihitasya samam vimo hayati virapiyad bibheti. Translation. My dear Krishna, Yashoda took up the rope to bind you when you committed an offense, and your perturbed eyes overflooded with tears, which washed the mascara from your eyes, and you were afraid, though fear personified is afraid of you. This sight is bewildering to me. Report by Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Here is another explanation of the bewilderment created by the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord is the supreme in all circumstances, as already explained. Here is a specific example of the Lord's being the supreme and at the same time a plaything in the presence of his pure devotee. The Lord's pure devotee renders service unto the Lord out of unalloyed love only. And while discharging such devotional service, the pure devotee forgets the position of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord also accepts the loving service of his devotees more relishably when the service is rendered spontaneously out of pure affection, without anything of reverential admiration. Generally, the Lord is worshipped by the devotees in a reverential attitude. But the Lord is meticulously pleased when the devotee, out of pure affection and love, considers the Lord to be less important than himself. The Lord's pastimes in the original abode of Golok Vrindavan are exchanged in that spirit. The friends of Krishna consider him one of them. They do not consider him to be of reverential importance. The parents of the Lord, who are all pure devotees, consider him a child only. The Lord accepts the chastisements of the parents more cheerfully than the prayers of the Vedic hymns. Similarly, he accepts the reproaches of his fiancés more palatably than the Vedic hymns. When Lord Krishna was present in this material world to manifest his eternal pastimes of the transcendental realm of Goloka Vrindavan as an attraction for the people in general, he displayed a unique picture of subordination before his foster mother Yashoda. The Lord, in his naturally childish, playful activities, used to spoil the stock of butter of Mother Yashoda by breaking the pots and distributing the contents to his friends and playmates, including the celebrated monkeys of Vrindavan, who took advantage of the Lord's munificence. Mother Yashoda saw this, and out of her pure love, she wanted to make a show of punishment for her transcendental child. She took a rope and threatened the Lord that she would tie him up, as is generally done in the ordinary household. Seeing the rope in the hands of Mother Yashoda, the Lord bowed down his head and began to weep just like a child. The tears rolled down his cheeks, washing off the black ointment smeared about his beautiful eyes. This picture of the Lord is adorned by Kunti Devi because she is conscious of the Lord's supreme position. He is feared often by fear personified, yet he is afraid of his mother, who wanted to punish him just in an ordinary manner. Kunti was conscious of the exalted position of Krishna, whereas Yashoda was not. Therefore, Yashoda's position was more exalted than Kunti's. Mother Yashoda got the Lord as her child, and the Lord made her forget altogether that her child was the Lord himself. If Mother Yashoda had been conscious of the exalted position of the Lord, she would certainly have hesitated to punish the Lord. But she was made to forget the situation because the Lord wanted to make a complete gesture of childishness before the affectionate Yashoda. This exchange of love between the mother and the son was performed in a natural way, and Kunti, remembering this scene, was bewildered, and she could do nothing but praise the transcendental filial love. Indirectly, Mother Yashoda is praised for her unique position of love, for she could control even the all-powerful Lord as her beloved child.
Hare Krishna. Beautiful. It almost sounds like that whole verse and the purport feels like we are reading the 10th canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, but we are not. Okay, can you pick a point and say something, Ben?
Well, Prabhupada makes the point to distinguish again between different types of devotion, levels of devotional service to the Lord, and in terms of the mood. So he's distinguishing between spontaneous, unmotivated devotional service and also between reverential devotional service. So my understanding is that in Golok Vrindavan, the mood is spontaneous, and the mood in the Vaikuntha Lokas is of a reverential nature. So he's made that that distinct point there, and then Prabhupada is giving us a nice example from the 10th canto, just to highlight this point even further by explaining to us about the relationship between Krishna and Mother Yashoda, and how Mother Yashoda was fully on this platform of spontaneous love for Krishna, and how she could actually chastise the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and how would it be possible for anyone to chastise Krishna in that way. So that in a sense that kind of highlights as well the bewildering power of the Lord. I mean, there's another point I could make, that in the material world, the living entities, they're covered by Mahamaya, and in the spiritual world, we're covered by the potency of Yoga Maya. So in that potency, all Krishna's friends, all his relations, everyone in the Goloka Vrindavan, they're not conscious or aware of the fact that Krishna is actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's maybe could throw open an interesting question. Why is that the case? Or how is that the case? So anyway,
okay.
I have a few points I made, so I don't know if you want to elaborate on any of those points.
Thank you very much, Ben. The question could be raised, which will give us an explanation of exactly what we're discussing. The question could be raised, why is Krishna the supreme Brahman, the supreme controller, the all-pervading super soul, the creator, and so on? Why is he enjoying the pastime with his mother of being bound, being chastised, above the praises of the Vedic hymns, as Srila Prabhupada writes? The praises of the Vedic hymns with all Sahasra Shirsha Purushaha Sahasra Kshat Sahasrapat, and so on. So who can answer that? Why is, because that seems to be just some ordinary pastime, childhood pastime, which anyone in this material world to various degrees can experience. One's relation with one's sons and daughters and relatives. And so, I mean, the question could be raised, is Krishna bored in the spiritual world in Vaikuntha and he wants to be amongst the human beings? So what could be an answer to that? That is a question for anyone, really, who wants to have a look at that.
Well, I mean, I'll have a go if you like.
Okay.
Okay. It's about the mood, about the flavor, about the mellow. Vedic hymns are very formulaic and ritualistic in a sense. But again, the distinction is between the mood how they said it could be said to be of a reverential nature. And this other pastime between his devotees is between his pure devotees is again, he's on the spontaneous platform, and we mentioned about the love and the devotion and the intimacy that is there as well.
Okay, thank you, Ben. Samir.
The example you've given before as well, Prabhuji, is that if you have the Prime Minister, for example, if when he's out working, then people are just, giving him more reverence. But when he goes home, then his children will play with him and play on his back or whatever and have good time. So that can be the example there that, with Krishna, it's more personal rather than, having the awe and reverence. It's more of a personal relation.
Okay, thank you. Yes, that is a very nice point. Or as we have said before, Krishna in the office in Vaikuntha or Krishna at home in Goloka. So there is quite some difference, even to the extent, just to draw from a material example, the father playing with his children, the son or daughter is on top of the father, and I defeated you, I pinned you down, and the father is enjoying that exchange of being in a weaker position, being in a subordinate position. I mean, any parent who can relate to that sometimes we play with the children, and just to satisfy the children, if we always win, because we are stronger, we are more intelligent, we are grown up, that could be very demoralizing for the children. You win. But if we sometimes play, particularly with small children, the child wins, defeating the big father. And so that is very enjoyable for the father to see his child in that mood. So these are examples to try to comprehend how Krishna is enjoying this pastimes with his pure devotees.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Does Krishna ever forget himself, who he is?
I just wanted to raise that. That is very interesting because it has been debated from various angles. Was Krishna actually really afraid at that moment? Right? When Mother Yashoda, tears coming down, he was afraid, or was he just playing afraid? These are very, very deep questions, and different answers are there. I'm not intending to give a definite answer on that, but what I understood from one side of the argument, at this moment, Krishna was actually afraid. He was so much immersed in his role that he was afraid. And which would answer that question, does Krishna forget himself? Yes, he likes to forget himself. Samir.
Yeah, the verse that I was reading, it says there that, it's inconceivable to us of how these leelas or whatever Krishna is doing, sometimes we cannot understand it because we try and understand it from a logical point of view, like a materially logical point of view. But anything is possible. So if Krishna wants to forget, then he can forget who he is, and he can do anything he wants, really. So his leelas are, quite complex for us to understand fully. But, he can do anything he wants to do, really.
Okay.
So because we might be thinking, how can he forget who he is? He is the Supreme. How can he forget that? But because he's the Lord, he's the Supreme, he can do anything to his own self as well, for his own imagination, or whatever he wants to, whatever he wants to do, he can do.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Samir. Of course, he can, but I mean, the question could be raised, is he in the back of his mind, he thinks he is a supreme, or he forgets he is a supreme? These are very, very intricate questions. One could give an example, the actor on the stage. He forgets, actually. If you're really a good player, he forgets who he is. He is getting so much absorbed in his role, that at least for the time being, he loses his ordinary identity. And that will be a good drama where everybody is carried on with the emotions of that drama. Samir.
Yes, Prabhupada. But, as I was saying, I don't think you got the point really, because, Krishna can, like I said, Krishna can do anything. And you can't really compare him to an actor, because that's what I was thinking. But the actor is still at the back of his mind, who's going to know.
No, it doesn't have to be. A good actor can be completely forget, even in the back of his mind.
I don't know.
Possible.
I don't know about that. But,
okay. Dharm wants to say something. Let's have Dharm.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Just wanted to say something about when Yashoda and Krishna. Some people may ask the question, can God be bound? And who can conquer God? So if God is the supreme controller, can somebody possibly control him in that way? Some school of thought, some people may answer that God cannot be bound or conquered or controlled by any kind of physical or mental or any kind of intellectual ability by man. So Mother Yashoda raises a question, if Krishna forgot he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then of course he could be bound, but the other side of the coin is that ordinary conditioned human beings can't really conquer or control Krishna, but he allows in some circumstances for people to control him, i.e. he can be conquered by the love and affection of his devotee. So he allowed his mother Yashoda to bind him out of love and affection. So that maybe suggests that he knew that he was Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he allowed Mother Yashoda to bind him nevertheless, because he knew that, like any mother, it's out of love and affection. So, it's a bit, you can go both ways. He may forget, or he may not. Sometimes Krishna is a good manipulator. He manipulates the situation. So I'm not really sure whether he forgot or not. I think he may have forgot momentarily, but it comes back to him. So I'm not sure. So it's too early to look at it, really. That's all I wanted to say, really.
Okay, thank you, Dharma. Well, one thing is for sure. Acharyas have discussed this question, and the pure devotees have discussed this question, this very same question, and we're not going to solve this question here tonight, for sure and certain. like you say, one side of a coin, the other side of the coin. And I think we're going to leave it here because by our intellectual, whatever we can do, we're not going to solve these questions. And it is not that central that it has to be solved tonight. But it is a fact. And there are many statements that Krishna can be bound by the love of his pure devotees, can be controlled by the love of his pure devotees. There are many, many statements. That is given. Hare Krishna. So I would say let's move on one more verse. We have almost 8:45. We can at least do one more verse. And I would like to ask Rashmi Mataji to take on text 32. Rashmi Mataji, is that okay? Text 32 of the 8th chapter of the first canto.
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, 2 minutes. I cannot see without my glasses. Just 1 second. I will take my glasses.
Are you back?
Yes, Prabhuji.
My question to you is, why don't you, when you log in to Zoom or every Wednesday and Saturday night, why don't you take your glasses with you? Because that is happening every time now.
Yes, Prabhuji. It is, I have only one pair of glasses and they go everywhere with me. Yes. So I forget. I will be reading upstairs, it will go up. So then like that, it keeps on moving.
Get a string. Some people keep the glasses with a string hanging around their chest. Okay.
Prabhuji, I'll start. Text 32.
Yes.
Kechida ahur ajamjatam punya shlokasya kirtaye yado priyasyan vaye malasyeva chandanam.
No, that doesn't sound right, the last line.
Okay, let me try again.
That is not in the meter. It's out of meter, so there's something is not right.
Yado punya shlokasya kirtaye yado.
No, the last line, mala.
Yeah, so Prabhuji, that is, if I don't get the top one, I will not get the meter right for the next one.
Okay.
So, yado, I'm just going to break this down. Yado priyasanyave, yado priyanyasyave, malasyeva chandanam. No, it's still not right, the meter.
No.
Mal yasyeve.
Mala.
It's not mala, Prabhuji, it's mal. Because the is small. So it will be mala.
Malayasyeva.
Malayasyeva. Because I've got the Sanskrit on top as well. So in the Sanskrit it is malay, malay seva chandanam. That's the Sanskrit.
But there's an A in between. Malayasyeva chandanam.
Yeah,
and then the meter is right.
I don't know why it's not in the Sanskrit. The A is not there in the Sanskrit. So, the Sanskrit and the English. You're reading the English, I'm reading the Sanskrit.
Well, then just read the English. How does it sound if you read the English?
Kechid ahurajam jatam punya shlokasya kirtaye yado priyasyan yave yanya vavye malayasyeva chandanam.
That's a meter. Malayasyeva chandanam. All syllables are there and it's in the meter. Okay, so translation.
Some say that the unborn is born for the glorification of pious kings, and others say that he is born to please King Yadu. one of your dearest devotees. You appear in his family as sandalwood appears in the Malaya Hills. Malaya Hills, puppet. Because the Lord's appearance in this material world is bewildering, there are different opinions about the birth of the unborn. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that he takes his birth in the material world, although he is the Lord of all creations and he is unborn. So there cannot be any denial of the birth of the unborn because he himself establishes the truth. But still there are different opinions as to why he takes his birth. That is also declared in the Bhagavad Gita. He appears by his own internal potency to re-establish the principles of religion and to protect the pious and to annihilate the impious. That is the mission of the appearance of the unborn. Still, it is said that the Lord is there to glorify the pious King Yudhishthir. Lord Sri Krishna certainly wanted to establish the kingdom of the Pandavas for the good of all in the world. When there is a pious king ruling over the world, the people are happy. When the ruler is impious, people are unhappy. In the age of Kali, in most cases, the rulers are impious and therefore the citizens are also continuously unhappy. But in the case of democracy, the impious citizens themselves elect their representative to rule over them, and therefore they cannot blame anyone for their unhappiness. Maharaj Nala was also celebrated as a great pious king, but he had no connection with Lord Krishna. Therefore, Maharaj Yudhishthir is meant here to be glorified by Lord Krishna. He had also glorified King Yadu, having taken his birth in the family. He is known as a Yadava, Yaduvir, Yadunandana, etc., although the Lord is always independent of such obligation. He is just like the sandalwood that grows in the Malaya Hills. Trees can grow anywhere and everywhere, yet because the sandalwood trees grow mostly in the area of the Malaya Hills, the name sandalwood and the Malaya Hills are interrelated. Therefore, the conclusion is that the Lord is ever unborn like the sun, and yet he appears as the sun rises on the eastern horizon. And as the sun is never the sun of the eastern horizon, so the Lord is no one's son, but he is the father of everything that be.
Okay, thank you. Can you say a few words about it? That's our last verse for tonight.
Yes, there's lots of points. Prabhuji, I have been reading the transcripts from Prabhupada's lecture for the squares of Queen Kunti. And in that transcript, it was not for this verse, it was back, it was up to 28. Prabhupada had explained that Krishna does not need to come to, Krishna did not have to take birth as Devaki Nandan to annihilate the irreligious people. Neither does he have to come to please his devotees, but he comes out of his own will. If he wants to do anything, he wants to kill these Rakshasas or whatever, he wants to re-establish, he has lots of his energies. He's got so many other subordinate people working under him. He can easily do that, but he does that out of his free will. So, you know, where it says over here that he's unborn, but yet he's taking avatar, so he's descending. So Prabhupada was explaining that in connection to, again and again in these verses, Maharani Kunti is saying that he's unborn. And the other thing which was about these rulers in the age of Kali, these rulers are impious and the citizens are also uncontinuously happy. So in just today's class, I heard we were taught that in the Varnashram Dharma, if the ruler, it all rests on the Kshatriyas and the Brahmanas. If the Kshatriyas and the Brahmanas are degraded, then the whole system will fall apart, which is why Krishna was chastising Arjuna repeatedly, that behave as a Kshatriya, not as a sannyasi. You cannot run away. You do your duty. Your duty is a Kshatriya. So if you do not do your duty, then everything will fall apart. The entire world will come to ruin. So the law and order rests on the shoulders of the Kshatriyas and the Brahmans. So that was another point which I could correlate from this class and that other class.
Okay, thank you, Rashmi. What's a verse then? In the Bhagavad Gita, he appears by his own internal potency, re-establish the principles of religion and. What's a verse? Sanskrit and translation.
I don't know, Prabhuji.
Oh, you have to know. Everybody knows. Everybody knows that verse.
Oh, you mean he appears to that yada yada hi dharma.
Yes. Okay, full verse, please, sir.
I don't know the full verse, Prabhuji.
Oh, you have to learn it. It's important. Okay. How much do you know of that verse?
Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutanam
adharmasya, not dharma, adharmasya.
Adharmasya glanir bhavati.
No, that we had said. Tadatmanam shrijamyaham.
Tadatmanam shrijamyaham. Okay.
Translation.
I won't know word to word translation, Prabhuji, but gist I can give you that I appear to annihilate. I take birth again and again to annihilate the irreligious and impious people.
Yeah, quite a bit more.
No, it's not. Actually, there is much more. Yeah, I don't know.
Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and the predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. Okay, that was that. That is... Anybody has any question to that verse?
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yes.
In the purport, Prabhupada has mentioned about King Maharaj Nala. Who is he talking about?
Pandava. Who is Maharaj Nala? Anybody knows who is Maharaj Nala? Pandava, yes.
Sorry, I don't really. Yeah, I've heard the reading and I cannot recall right now. Sorry.
Anyone else knows who is Maharaj Nala? Let's see if we find something. Maharaj Nala was also celebrated as a great pious king. Punya Shloka. Well, that is here, that is from our verse. Okay. Okay, from the 9th chapter.
So it's this. He's sometimes given as an example of a person who was overcome by the influence of Kali. So he gave up his, I think, kingdom and even left his wife, something like that.
Okay, anyone has anything more?
Yeah, it says that his story is in the Mahabharata, and his main weakness was gambling. He married Princess Damayanti of the Vidarbha kingdom. And the story is told in the Mahabharata.
Okay, I just had a quick look through all of the database. There is only 3 references of Maharaj Nala in all of Srila Prabhupada's writings. So maybe Mahabharata there would be found more, but perhaps it is not that important. Okay, anything else? Any other question? Any other comment? Because we want a little bit of Kirtan. Vashana Mataji, are you ready to sing the singer Arti? Pranam?
Yes, I'll sing that. Thank you.
That you can do. Okay. The microphone is all yours.
Namaste Nrisimhaya Praladaladaine. Namaste Nrisimhaya Praladaladaine. Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha Shilatankanakalaye. Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha Shilatankanakalaye. Ito Nrisimho Parato Nrisimho Yato Yato Yamitato Nrisimho. Ito Nrisimho Parato Nrisimho Yato Yato Yamitato Nrisimho. Bahir Nrisimho Hridaye Nrisimho Nrisimhamadim Sharanam Prapadye. Bahir Nrisimho Hridaye Nrisimho Nrisimhamadim Sharanam Prapadye. Tava Kara Kamala Vare Nakhamadbhut Sringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubhrangam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa. Jai Jagadish Hare, Jai Jagadish Hare, Swami. Jai Jagadish Hare. Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa. Jai Jagadish Hare, Jai Jagadish Hare, Swami. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jaya Nrisimhadev, Nrisimhadev, Nrisimhadev. Jaya Nrisimhadev. Jaya Narahari, Narahari, Narahari. Jaya Narahari. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Jaya Prabhupada Srila, Prabhupada Srila, Prabhupada Srila, Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Nrisimhadev ki jai, Prahlad Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for the beautiful kirtan. 3 hearts coming your way. Look at that. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Now, anyone has anything to share for a couple of minutes? We have more. Any extraordinary stories? Anyone? Dharma, are you planting your Tulsi Devi today, or have you already done? It's Ekadashi. Not up till midnight, up till sunrise. Ben. Ekadashi all the way till sunrise tomorrow. Oh, breakfast times. Okay, let me give you the breakfast times.
When is Ekadashi? Today?
Yes.
Oh, it's all right. I broke it already.
Oh.
I'm sorry about that.
Apara
I forgot to
Ekadashi.
send it through, actually. I normally do. But
Yes,
I
you do.
I was busy with Food for Life yesterday. That's why.
You
But
can do-
anyway, we better remember the next one coming up, 21st June, and that is going to be Nirjal.
Okay.
So that's a very big one. Nirjal Ekadashi.
We love it. Very nice.
Yes. And thank you for reminding me about my
You can do it tomorrow
12th
as well.
anniversary. Sorry.
One at a time. Wait a minute, Samir. Vashana, finish.
Thank you for reminding me about the my anniversary, actually, 12th anniversary. I'd completely forgotten this time.
Your initiation anniversary was the other day. 10 years have passed, right?
12.
12. Hare Krishna, 12 years. Okay. Yes, very nice. I have a reminder in my calendar the day before and the same day, 9 o'clock Ekadashi, but I have to do that manually. Okay, breakfast tomorrow at 8:29, a quarter of TT. I'm not technically, don't know too much about that. Between 8:29 and 10:16, it's breakfast. If we break so fast between 8:29 and 10:16, we have some extra benefit. Hare Krishna. Samir.
Yes, I was going to say you can, if you didn't do it today, you can do it tomorrow as well, because this time round there's 2, and so you can do it tomorrow if you didn't do it today.
Yes, that was Srila Prabhupada's policy. If somehow or other you broke Ekadashi, just do your fasting tomorrow. Right? It's just like
I do that sometimes. So
yes,
I'll fast tomorrow.
It's just like if you somehow or other, due to extraordinary circumstance, and really only extraordinary circumstance, we haven't been able to complete our rounds. Let's say there are 4 rounds left, and then we have to catch up the next day. But that's only for extraordinary circumstances. So, sorry, Amit, we haven't got you to read tonight. Next time, because there was quite some discussions going on and quite a few verses, and everybody else, and Dharm also did not get a turn. Next time.
Ask Amit how he's getting on with his Sanskrit pronunciation.
What's that?
How is he getting on with his Sanskrit pronunciation, guy?
He's getting on. With the Sanskrit, everybody's Sanskrit is getting so much better. Right. Because we insisting on at least 90% accuracy. Okay, here we stop. Except anyone has still anything extraordinary to share? Any Sankirtan stories, Pandava? And Samir whole Africa is chanting Hare Krishna by now?
Is the temple open yet? Does anyone know?
Which temple?
Granby Street.
Haribol. Well, it's not open, actually, but I think the ladies are doing Food for Life on a Saturday. They've just started the kitchen.
Okay.
I think there's another devotee who has taken the Lord's home, so that probably looks after them from home.
Oh, the deities are in someone's home?
Yes.
Radha Madhava? Okay.
Yes. That's right.
Okay.
So there's nothing there at the temple except the usual whatever they do. People going in and out or doing Sankirtan, or like I say, the Food for Life has started.
Right. Okay. Hare Krishna. On this note, we will stop. Otherwise, everybody is dropping off. It's past 9 o'clock. Thank you very much. Thank you, Samir. Thank you, Ben, Amit, Pandava, Rashmi, Dharm, and Valshana. We'll see you on Wednesday. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.